TB. Regarding the Sea Org and the billion-year contract, has anybody ever claimed to have fulfilled the contract, having lived all the previous and future lives? Stephen Fishman, in his interview, and what a crazy interview that is, said that when the body dies, the Thetan can go back or forth in time, and because Stephen could not be guaranteed to be reborn in a well-off and good Scientology family, he refused to commit suicide when told to by the church. Does anybody remember future times, or is it mostly past? Did anyone remember being a Scientologist in the previous life, going through all OT levels and not needing any more OT training? If there is anyone like that, do they have special status in the church? Okay, well, here's a great example of what I'm talking about, which with Stephen Fishman, right, is where he's taking actual Scientology information and then putting his own twist on it. And he does that. There's 2 points here. One, no, there is no information in Scientology anywhere that you can move into the future and then move back into the past, and then move into the future and then move back into the past. That is totally a Stephen Fishman invention. In 27 years of Scientology, I never, ever heard L. Ron Hubbard say anything like that. So that's just total, pure fantasy invention of Stephen Fishman. And then this other point where he says that he could not be guaranteed a body and was going to, therefore refused to commit suicide. That was also fantasy. The church never asked him to do that. And there's no real evidence other than his word that he was co-opted and made to, ruin his lawyer, and then he was going to commit suicide or do what he called commit an end of cycle. Again, never heard of that expression before, an end of cycle. Meaning suicide. That's supposed to mean suicide, according to Stephen Fishman. Just total fantasy, right? Now, though, to address your question, or questions here, regardless of Stephen Fishman's nonsense, yes, there are people who remember being a Scientologist in a past life. This comes up all the time in Scientology. In fact, it even came up with me. I actually thought that in the course of the auditing that I was receiving in Scientology, I thought I was having memories of past life time working in Scientology and even being on the ship with Hubbard, right? Which I recognize now was 1,000% fantasy on my part, and I don't even know where I came up with those ideas, but I did. A lot of people in Scientology claim to be past life clears, and now from those who were born from 1967 or so forward, they can claim to be past life OTs, and they do. And there's actually written procedures in Scientology for what to do if somebody claims to be a past life clear or a past life OT. Because Hubbard said that he was making clears all the way back in the late 1940s when he was first discovering Dianetics, and then all the way forward, they were making clears here and there and everywhere, and so a person could theoretically claim to or a person could claim to have been audited in a past life. So yeah, that does happen. There's not particularly a lot of status with that. People don't talk about it. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to talk about that stuff. It's not supposed to be a big deal. Some people make it a big deal. They have, obviously people in Scientology have a big status button on things, but it's not something you get medals or awards for, get recognized for, or something like that. And no one has, that to my knowledge, has ever claimed that they were a past life full OT, like all the way through OT 8. No, I've never seen that. I've never heard of that. OT 8 was only released in 1988, I think it was, when the free ones first set sail. So I suppose at this point somebody could have died and or been born from 1988, since then, and gotten into Scientology and claimed to be an OT 8 from a past life. But they'd have some explaining to do if they were going to say that, because they'd have to detail what the materials are and what they covered and, who they were and all that sort of thing, because you're supposed to supply the name of who you were so they can go and dig up the auditing folders of you in your last life and have it all to hand and all that, right? So anyway, it's all pretty silly. And that's the answer to that question.